The door closes behind you. You hear the lock turn. You are 16 years old, and you have just been told that you will never see your family again. The corridor smells of wet stone and bleach. Somewhere down the hall, a machine is hissing. Steam crawls along the ceiling like a living thing. A woman in a black habit walks past without looking at you. Her shoes make no sound. You are not in a prison. You have committed no crime. There has been no trial. No one will come to find you. No one will write your name in any record that matters. You are standing inside a building that calls itself a place of mercy. And for the next 40 years of your life, you will wash other people's clothes until your hands bleed. This is Ireland. This is happening. And the world outside these walls will pretend for a very long time that you do not exist. The morning began with a coat. Your mother helped you button it. She would not meet your eyes. Your father waited by the door with a small suitcase you would never see again. You did not know where you were going. You were told only that you had been bold, that you had brought shame, that the sisters would help you become a good girl. The car ride was quiet. The countryside moved past the window in soft greens and grays. You watched a farmer turn a field. You watched a boy chase a dog along a low stone wall. You did not know it then, but you were already looking at the last free hour of your life. The building, when you arrived, did not look cruel. It looked like a church. Tall windows, ivy on the stone. A heavy wooden door studded with iron. Inside, the air changed. It became thick, damp, carbolic soap and something else underneath. Something animal, something tired. A nun took your suitcase. She took your coat. She took your name. From this morning forward, you would be called by a number or by a saint's name chosen for you. Mary, Bridget, Teresa. Your old name belonged to a girl who no longer existed. Your hair was cut, not styled, cut, close to the scalp in uneven handfuls, while you sat on a wooden chair and tried not to cry, because you had already learned that crying was something they punished. Then they gave you a coarse gray uniform, and they led you into the laundry. The heat hits you first, a wall of it, the kind of heat that takes the breath from your lungs and gives nothing back. The laundry room is enormous. Long tables, iron presses, vats of boiling water taller than you are. The floor is wet. It is always wet. Your shoes will rot inside a month. You are handed a pile of sheets. They are not yours. They belong to a hotel in Dublin, to a hospital, to a barracks of soldiers, to the government itself. Because this is the secret that history will take decades to admit. The Magdalene Laundries were not charities. They were businesses, profitable ones. The Irish state, the church, hotels, hospitals, even the army, they all sent their dirty linen here. And the women inside, women like you, washed it for nothing. Not a penny, not a wage, not a single day off. You scrub until your knuckles split. You feed sheets into a press that could take your arm if you blink at the wrong moment. You stand for 10 hours, 12 hours, sometimes more. You do not speak. Talking is forbidden during work. A nun walks the floor with a small wooden cross hanging from her belt. She does not need to raise her voice. She only needs to look at you. At lunch, you eat bread and dripping, sometimes a thin stew. The food is never enough. You learn to hide crusts in your sleeve. You learn that hunger is not an emergency. It is just weather. At night, you sleep in a long dormitory with 30 other women. The mattresses are thin. The blankets are thinner. You hear someone weeping 2 beds down. You do not go to her. You learned on your first night that comfort is also punished. The girl beside you at the wash table is 23. She has been here since she was 14. She does not remember the outside very well anymore. She is not, as the world will later assume, a prostitute. She is not a criminal. She was sent here because her uncle assaulted her, and her family decided the shame belonged to her. The girl on your other side is here because she was too pretty. The priest in her village said she tempted men. Her mother believed him. Across the room, an older woman folds towels. She has been inside these walls for 41 years. She came in pregnant at 17. The baby was taken from her and adopted out to America. She has never been told the child's name. This is who lived inside the laundries, not fallen women. That was the lie the country told itself. The real population was something else entirely. Unmarried mothers, victims of rape and incest, girls who had grown up in orphanages and had nowhere else to go, daughters of poor families who could not afford another mouth, women considered too flirtatious, too independent, too quiet, too loud, too pretty, too plain. Roughly 10,000 women passed through the Magdalene Laundries in Ireland between 1922 and 1996. That is the official number. Survivors and researchers believe the true figure is closer to 30,000. Many were never recorded. Many entered as girls and died as old women without ever stepping outside again. There were 10 laundries run by 4 Catholic religious orders: the Sisters of Mercy, the Sisters of Our Lady of Charity, the Sisters of Charity, and the Good Shepherd Sisters. The Irish state knew. The Irish state used them. The Irish state sent its own linen there to be washed. You learn quickly that there is no door out, not because the doors are always locked, though most of them are, but because the world outside has agreed not to see you. If you ran, and some did, the Garda would find you. The Irish police would not ask what was wrong. They would drive you back to the laundry and hand you to the sisters at the gate. Sometimes your hair would be shaved a second time. Sometimes you would be put in a small room alone for days. If you wrote a letter, the sisters read it first. If a relative came to visit, and they rarely did, a nun stood in the room and listened to every word. The community outside knew, the priests knew, the bishops knew, the government knew, doctors who visited the laundries knew, tax inspectors who reviewed the laundries' profits knew, the hotels and hospitals collecting their crisp, clean sheets every week knew, and no one spoke. There is a theory that some historians take seriously, though it remains debated, that the Magdalene Laundries were not simply a moral institution that drifted into cruelty, that they were, from a certain point onward, a deliberate system, a workforce, a way for a young Irish state, broke and rural and deeply entangled with the church, to outsource its unwanted women and profit from their labor at the same time. A system that needed the silence to function. A silence the entire country, agreed to keep. You did not know this, of course, standing at the wash table. You only knew that no one was coming for you. Time stops, meaning very much inside the laundry. The seasons change outside the high windows. You see snow once. You see a bird once, a robin on a windowsill for less than a minute. You will remember it for the rest of your life. Women around you grow older. They grow ill. They cough. They thin. Some lose their minds in slow, quiet ways. They begin to talk to people who are not there, or they stop talking entirely. When a woman dies, she is buried on the grounds, in an unmarked plot. No headstone, no notice in any newspaper, no word sent to a family, if a family even still existed. In 1993, this is how the truth finally began to surface. A convent in Dublin, High Park, run by the Sisters of Our Lady of Charity, decided to sell off part of their land to a property developer. To do so, they had to move the bodies in the cemetery on the grounds. When the graves were opened, the workers found 155 bodies. Most had no death certificates. Many of the names on the convent's records did not match the bodies in the ground. Some of the women had been buried without any name at all. The discovery cracked something open in Ireland. Survivors began to speak, quietly at first, then in greater numbers. They described the work, the hunger, the silence, the decades stolen. They used a word the country had not been willing to use about itself: slavery. In 2013, the Irish government finally acknowledged that the women of the Magdalene Laundries had been victims of state-involved abuse. The Taoiseach, Enda Kenny, stood in Parliament and wept as he apologized. The last Magdalene Laundry on Sion McDermott Street in Dublin had closed only 17 years earlier, in 1996, within living memory. You imagine for a moment that you survived, that you walked out of those gates at 40 or 50 or 60, disoriented, unfamiliar with money, unfamiliar with traffic, unfamiliar with the simple act of choosing what to eat for breakfast. You imagine trying to explain to a stranger where you have been. You imagine the way their face changes. You imagine the silence that follows. Many survivors never told anyone, not their husbands, not their children. They carried it folded inside them like a letter that could never be opened. The laundries are quiet now. Most of the buildings have been sold off, converted, or demolished. The convent in High Park is gone. The site on Sion McDermott Street will become a national center for research and remembrance. A handful of survivors still receive small pensions from the Irish state. A handful are still waiting. There is a list kept by researchers of every name that has been recovered. It grows slowly. Some entries are only a first name and an age. Some are only a number. Some are simply the word unknown, followed by a date. These were daughters, sisters, mothers. They washed the sheets of a nation that pretended they were not there. Stand for a moment before you leave this place. Stand at the wash table. Feel the heat on your face. Hear the hiss of the press, the slap of wet cloth on stone, the soft footsteps of a woman in black walking the floor behind you. Now, look around the room. Every woman here had a name before she was given a new one. Every woman here had a life before the door closed. Every woman here was someone's child. History likes to imagine cruelty as something distant, something that happened in dark centuries by candlelight, in places we no longer recognize. But the Magdalene Laundries were not medieval. They were not exotic. They were not foreign. They operated in a modern European country under a modern democratic government into the lifetime of people who are still here. The last door closed in 1996. That is not a long time ago. That is the year a film won an Oscar that you might still remember. The year a song played on the radio that you might still hum. The year an ordinary woman somewhere in Dublin finally walked out of a laundry and stepped into a world that had spent her entire life pretending she was not in it. She is the reason we tell this story, not to shock you, not to horrify you, but to make sure that the silence the Magdalene Laundries depended on, the silence of an entire country for an entire century, never holds again. Because the most dangerous places in history are not always the loud ones. Sometimes they are the quiet rooms with the locked doors and the women inside who were never meant to be heard.